Welcome to another episode of Health Your Way podcast, where we discuss health issues ranging from physical, mental, emotional, as well as current facts.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about creating a financial life plan. And my guest is Damian. He's an holistic, client-centric wealth management advisor. He recognizes the uniqueness of each individual and tailors a financial plan accordingly. So I really want to have this conversation because I think a lot of people misunderstand that, health also deals with and finance, because if your finance in disarray, it'll affect your stress level, your emotional level, everything. So I sincerely appreciate you taking the time, to have this conversation and educate us. So before
Thank
we
you for having
start,
me.
oh, thank you. Before we start, anything you want to add or talk about before, or what you want to say
Well,
about yourself?
my name is Damian Alexander. I am a wealth management advisor. I'm also a chartered life underwriter, and I've been in the industry for about 19 years. And as you mentioned, I'm a holistic advisor. And what I do is I recognize the uniqueness of each individual, and I tailor make financial life plans for each individual because each individual is totally different, and there's a lot of changes that may happen in their life.
I appreciate that. And before, I think for this specific conversation we're having today, what is financial life planning? Because we say the word, like we see financial planning, but now we
Mhm.
have a life part. So educate us, sir.
Okay, well, financial life planning is about giving you and your family choices because maybe your previous generations did not have the same choices you have now. Now, it's also about using a holistic approach to your financial position and at the same time giving you your financial options because there's so many changes that could happen in your life, right? Like what I feel is the traditional financial plan, it's kind of like a static piece of paper, right? You enter some numbers and you put in where you're at and your age and date of birth and you kind of leave it as is. What I feel as far as a financial life plan is it gives you room for changes. Like, for example, the pandemic. We're in a pandemic right now. And it just shows you how your life can change relatively quick, right? Financial life plan leaves you room for adjustments, right? For example, like with a financial life plan, we'll have a bucket of money if you get sick, or if you lose your job, or if you decide that you need to move, or if you have maybe a family member that may need some financial assistance. The financial life plan covers all of those things.
So let me ask you a question. So
Mm,
you've met, and I'm going to ask you, with your clients or previous clients or whatever,
mm,
when you've met them, by not having some form of structure or tailored financial plan, how's they, like, when you see them as a person, how do they
mm.
get I guess what I'm trying to say is, do they seem like they're miserable? I guess that's my question. Like, how do they seem, like, mentally wise? Like, once they seem like they have been given a structure and plan, do they see their life change in that sense?
Oh yeah. Uh, so coming in, 9 times out of 10, they're in disarray and unorganized, not too sure where to go, and that's 9 times out of 10 why they come to me, right? They're like, okay, I'm not too sure what I need to do, and everyone keeps telling me about these RSPs, but I don't know between an RSP and a TFSA which one's right for me, and I'm paying so much in taxes, and I don't like that. What am I going to do about that, right? Uh, you know, right now I'm in a situation. Now my parents need to move in with me, and how do I accommodate for that? All of these things come into a financial life plan, right? So what I do is make sure we kind of put the skeleton of where you want to go, but I make sure I leave room for changes, right? Because our lives always change. There's always some sort of change that we didn't anticipate.
So then, okay, when you were explaining that, for me, it seems like a lot of people have a lot of anxiety when they come to you, right?
Mm,
So like,
mm,
and because that is in a sense, like when your finances not during disarray, there's a lot of mental anxiety involved. And I'm
mm.
thinking that, you may not say it, but by you resolving some of the issues or giving them some kind of structure, you're kind of helping them mentally to give them, there's a plan, there's a
Hmm.
purpose, and this is where we're going. That kind of helps with their anxiety. Let me know your
Yeah,
thoughts in respects to that.
yeah, I totally 100% agree. I mean, coming to me, they'll have all these things that they're not too sure about it. But leaving, there's almost like a sigh of relief. Like, you know what? I got this over with. Now I have more clear direction. Now I know where I'm going. How long it's going to take me to get there. Things of that nature. And to your point, I do see a sigh of relief with everyone.
So then, okay. So when you, because now I'm thinking more about this. So when you give them a plan itself, and I know this is a financial life plan, by having that anxiety fixed, or not fixed, but addressed to a certain extent, would you say that the overall life improves? So what I mean by that is, if your anxiety is being fixed and now structure where your money is, they have more money to invest, they can enjoy more life, they're traveling, they're not sick, stuff like that. So what are your thoughts? Because you would know more about this.
Totally agree. I just want to give you an example of a client
Go
I
ahead.
had. So I had a client, younger client, makes great money, right? But she had a shoe addiction, right? And she'd always
A
spend
shoe
on shoes.
addiction?
A shoe addiction.
No, I
She'd
heard you.
always,
I heard you. Okay, I'm sorry, I heard you. But go
and she'd
ahead.
always want to buy shoes, right? Or she want to buy different clothes. And that was one thing that I recognized, and I asked her, okay, but does this make you happy? Is this something that makes you happy? And she goes, to be honest, Damon, that's what makes me happy. So what I did is I tailor made her plan around that, because
Oh.
we don't want to just cut that expense if that makes you happy, right? We'll figure out other ways to kind of cut expenses, but that's the one thing, her shopping and her shoe habit, it made her happy, right? So that's kind of what I do when it comes to a financial life plan. I want to make sure that you're happy when we're going through this journey together.
It's nice of you. It's nice of you to say that, because most people would have said, "Okay, you know what? You're spending too much money there. You need to stop." And that could have been a negative impact to her life. So the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you took the time to even listen to her and talk to her and say, "Okay, what does this do for your life, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And then if this is what you need to be happy, and then we'll make sure that we create or tailor the plan so that you can still keep that kind of happiness in your life. So that's something new. Because I would have just thought you would said, okay, you know what, you need to cut this out. We need to invest in
No.
money. But you know what I mean? Most people would
No.
have said that. So it's nice to know. I think,
No.
go ahead, please.
It is important for me to ask those questions, like what makes you happy. I mean, prior to even talking about finances, I like to get into what makes you happy. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Like, because it's not just all about finances when we come down to a financial life plan. It's about your life and how do we commingle those two things together.
And stepping back, when I'm having this conversation with you, I'm realizing a lot of people are afraid to even talk to somebody like you, right? Because
Mhm.
they don't want to look at their finance. I know a few people. I think at one point, maybe when I was younger, yes, I was afraid to
Mhm.
look at my finance, but
Mhm.
because you get anxiety, it's
Mhm.
fear, and you don't want to see or even hear that you may not have what you're looking for in the future.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people, I know it's scary, but if they open their eyes and willing to reach out to somebody like you to basically fix those things that are affecting your anxiety, I think a financial life plan addresses that to a certain extent. If you please educate me if I'm incorrect about what I'm saying.
No, you're correct. My main thing is I want to make sure everyone is comfortable, right?
Okay.
And that's the first thing. Make sure you're relaxed and you're comfortable. Once you get comfortable, you start to express more about what's going on in your life. A lot of times, if someone's not comfortable, they're a little tight and they don't want to tell you much. And that can be a problem coming down the road because if I don't know everything and I start making this plan and I put it together and you say, oh, by the way, I have this $50,000 debt. Like, oh, wait, where did that come from?
It
And
happened
that can,
overnight when I went to Las Vegas. That's where it came from.
so once I make them feel comfortable, like a lot of times, it depends on your temperament. Some people, when it comes to debt, they're okay with it, but some people they'll have, $1,000 debt on their credit card and they're freaking out, right? So it's my job to kind of figure out where you're at as far as certain situations, especially when it comes to debt, and how you feel about it. Do you want to pay off this debt as soon as possible? Okay, well now we got to shift some funds towards that and figure out a way to, pay off this debt or pay it down, and at the same time maintain your happiness.
So let me ask you a question then. When we talk, I know we've talked specific about one, like an individual, but what about family dynamic? So
Mm,
I don't have a family dynamic like kids or anything, but what I think where I'm going with this is a lot of people, we understand, and I think you educated me last time in the summit that one of the biggest relationship breakers is finance. A lot of issues within a family dynamics is money, right?
mhm.
So I would say, is it fair to say that talking to somebody or having a financial life plan itself can help address or alleviate some of that stress level that affects relationships as well as family dynamics, because there's some form of structure.
Of course. I mean, every family is different. And what I'm noticing a lot nowadays is we're not just seeing husband, wife, and kids. We're seeing husband, wife, kids, grandma, cousin. They're all kind of commingling into one space. And that in itself can be stressful, you know? So it's important to have all of those variables told to me, and we kind of walk through it, you know? And it's also great. You know, what I like is when people bring other family members into the mix while I'm developing the financial plan, the financial life plan, you know, because that in itself, I can look at that person and talk with them and see where their head is at, their head is at when it comes to finances and how they feel about their current situation. You know, is this adding extra stress on my client right now?
I like that because when we think about financial life plan, like you were like, okay, it's finance, it's money, but I think, and again, this is really one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you, is that a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of anxiety and mental health issues that comes with money. And I know you're not a mental health advisor or a coach yourself, but I think what people fail to realize is that you do address one of the biggest issues out there is financial, maybe financial debt, financial security, financial growth, estate planning. I'm saying all this terminology because I've learned a lot from you.
Good. That's really good.
But I
appreciate that.
Yeah, like I think even, would you say there's misconception of the benefits of even on a mental or a physical aspects of having a financial life plan in your life?
Sorry, you're asking me, are there misconceptions or?
Yes, like, because what I mean by that is a lot of people think, okay, I don't need a financial plan, I just have money, right? But they don't realize by having that plan, how it can affect them mentally, physically, or even long-term relationship, or, all that aspects of health. And I know we talk about money, but again, you can't have mental
stability,
yeah, without, because money is everywhere. Like everything I buy, my clothes, my hair, my stuff, everything is money, right? Sorry, go ahead, please.
No, but to your point, it is tough without that structure, because you can have so much money in your bank account and you can pile that up to the ceiling. If you're not happy, you're not happy. So we got to figure out what in your life is making you happy, and how can we make you happier? You know, what's making you sad? Okay, can we fix that? And like you said, money is involved in everything, right? You know, if you don't have enough money, you're going to be depressed. Some people with a lot of money are depressed. So what exactly is happening in your life? Maybe we can fix it within this plan.
Oh, I like that. So there's other solutions out there that could help them. I think, I guess one of the questions, when is it an appropriate time to do a financial life plan? Like, could a 10-year-old do this? No, I know that. I know, Damian.
You know, honestly, I don't think there's any specific age. But what I would say is usually if someone's starting their regular stable job, that would be a great time to start. You know, that way you can plan and adjust along the way, right? The earlier you start, the easier it is to make adjustments along the way. You know, we want to make sure that we kind of make sure that all the obstacles are taken care of ahead of time, you know?
I appreciate that. And, you've shared a lot. And I think what I'm getting from you is that there's different ways of doing it. But you need to have a life plan to address some of, concerns you have or goals you have in the future. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you or, learn more about what you offer, what's the best platform to do that? How can they reach out to you, I guess is my question.
It's pretty simple. AskDamian.ca. That's my website. On Instagram, it's Ask Damian. Facebook, Ask Damian.
We're asking Damian right now. We're asking Damian. But go ahead.
Just ask away, and we can do it the old-fashioned way. Just pick up the phone, give me a call. 416-471-3766.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I'm thinking, before we let you go, is your what's next for Damian? What is your passion? Like, why do you do this? I guess.
Man, do we have enough time for that, or I'll just take you back and as to why I originally got into this. Gosh, don't make me cry. So I want to take it back. So my mother was diagnosed with, and
sorry, I'm sorry, I missed that. Your mom's what?
Well, my mother
Yes.
years ago was diagnosed with leukemia,
Okay.
right? So in my family dynamic, that just changed everything. She had a great advisor, right? So he set her up with critical illness policy, life insurance, right? That's all good and dandy, but when you're in the moment, you don't really care about that stuff, right? In the moment. But during the whole process, we realized that, okay, she does have critical illness. So she got this critical illness policy, and she took it out many years ago. And relatively quick, she got this lump sum of money because she was diagnosed with leukemia. And as soon as we got it, I was like, okay, mom, pull out my calculator. Okay, mom, we're going to take this money and we're going to put it into the market. So, if we get this type of return, and I'm doing all these calculations and I'm telling her, oh man, we're going to make this amount of money. She said, whoa, Damien, I don't want to do that. I just want to live. I want to go travel. I want to see other places. I want to go back home to Grenada. That's what I want to do. And that, in essence, is what the financial life plan is about. You want to make sure you have that plan in place. So if something does happen, you can prepare for those obstacles, right? So the way I see it is the financial life plan is like a GPS, right? You get into your car and you plug into your destination, right? And along that destination, there's a lot of obstacles. Maybe there's an accident, maybe there's a pothole. Things do come up. But once we have your financial life plan in place, we can prepare for those obstacles. And that's exactly what happened with my mother. She prepared for that, and she was able to live the rest of her life the way she wanted to, which is traveling, seeing other places, and overall being happy at the end of her life.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. With that said, it's been very enlightening. I think for
Mhm.
me, as I talk to more people like yourself, just
Mhm.
understanding, that health is not related to just one side, but the financial part is something that people should be looking at. And if you're not addressing that and you have anxiety when it comes to money, you fear money, you need to go see someone to help you figure out, what part of your finances is affecting that, so they can at least fix that, and then maybe see a therapist after. But yeah, just let you know.
Yeah, and I totally agree with everything you said. I mean, get as soon as you can, get those things in place. Start to structure that plan. Get your GPS in order. Get that GPS in order. So along the way to your destination, you can prepare for those potholes, those car accidents, and you want to make sure that you get there on time and get there safe.
It's true. Like, even on a personal level, I remember just having that anxiety, wondering. But once I got my finance in order, you just breathe easier. You really
Right?
do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do. And then you get excited to see, okay, I got this plan. Like and even then, even my significant other, he's just like, I have money. It's just, your life. Honestly, I'm not even, it's so much better. I know, like,
Mhm.
everybody has different situations. Everybody's different. But just understanding what possibilities are is something that I think we all should take the time and invest in figuring out. As Damien said, ask him, reach out to him, ask him,
Ask Damien.
ask Damien. And I don't think it hurts just to ask or even get that information from somebody. With that
Yeah.
said, I want to say thank you for your time. And I
Thank you for
appreciate this.
having me. I really
No.
appreciate it. I really do.
No, seriously. Like, it's nice to talk to people that are honest and sincere about and they love what they do. So it comes across, and I sincerely appreciate you being part of this platform today.
No problem at all.
Thank you for joining us today on our weekly episode of Health Your Way podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and please feel free to comment below and ask any questions on topics we discussed, as well as future topics you'd like to hear about. Have a happy and healthy week, and be sure to tune in next week for the next episode on a Health Your Way podcast.